excited to share with you a new recipe that I've learned. This recipe is for chocolate almond coconut joy bars, and they are a joy to eat. They're so delicious. The great thing about this recipe is that it's very low in sugar and very low in carbohydrates, so it's diabetic friendly. So when you make this recipe, everyone can enjoy it. Now there are a few ingredients that we're going to need, including coconut, and this is unsweetened shredded coconut. We're going to need 2 cups of this. We're also going to need 1/2 of a cup of sweetener, and I'm using monk fruit sugar. We're going to need a pinch of salt, 2 tablespoons of butter, 1 whole cup of 35% whipping cream. And then and the inside we're going to need a touch of vanilla and some almond extract. And then for the coating, we're going to need 4 ounces of dark chocolate. I'm using 78% chocolate. Also 2 tablespoons or 2.5 tablespoons of unsweetened peanut butter, creamy peanut butter. And then we've got some almonds, which we are going to add to the top of each little square. So we're going to get 16 squares by using this 8x8 pan. And I'm going to toast the almonds because that's going to make them even more delicious. And then we just need a deep saucepan in order to cook down our whipping cream and turn it into that condensed milk. So let me give you an overview of all these ingredients that we're going to use, and then we'll head over to the stove. So we're here at the stove, and I've been heating up my saucepan, and it's just dry. There's nothing in it. And now I'm just going to toast my almonds, and this will just take it'll just take a couple of minutes to toast the almonds on both sides, and this will just give them a lot more flavor. You can definitely skip this step. So let me toast. So my almonds are toasted, and I've just kept them moving around. They're a little brown and they smell nutty. So we'll take them off the stove. So I've set the almonds off to the side, and I've cooled down my pan because it was very hot and I don't want to burn the butter. So now we're just going to turn the stove back on medium, and we're going to take our 2 tablespoons of butter, and we're just going to melt that in our saucepan. And this will just take a minute. So we still have our stove on medium. Our butter is melted. Into this, we're going to add our whipping cream. And we're going to add a pinch of salt. Give that a stir. And then we're going to add 1/2 of our cup of monk fruit sugar, or whatever sugar alternative that you decide to use. And this is essentially how you make a sugar-free condensed milk. So this is a good recipe to keep because you can use it in any other recipe that you may require condensed milk for. So we're going to continue stirring this until it gets really thick. And I'll be right back to show you what that looks like. So it's been about 7 minutes, and the sauce has really reduced and it's getting very thick. You can see it leaves a trail when I drag the spatula across. So now we're going to turn off our stove, and we're going to let it sit for just 30 seconds. So our sauce has cooled for about 30 seconds, and you can see how very rich and thick it has become. So now let's move on to the next step. So at this point we want to add our extract. So we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of almond and a teaspoon of vanilla. And we're just going to combine that into our sauce. And now we're going to take our sauce over to the counter to combine the coconut. So now we've got a bowl, and we're just going to dump our 2 cups of coconut in it. And now we're going to take our homemade condensed milk that we've made with our whipping cream, and it smells fantastic. You want to just be able to eat it the way it is. It smells so very good. Okay. And now we're just going to combine this, and it's going to turn into kind of dough-like. And we want to make sure that we mix it up really well. The coconut will absorb a lot of this condensed milk. And once we've got it fully incorporated, then we are going to, you can see how thick it has become. We're going to take our coconut and condensed milk, and we're just going to put it into our lined pan, and we're going to press down because we really want to create a nice thick coconut cream filling. And we're going to put this in the fridge for an hour, and this is going to set, and then we'll chop this up into our 16 quadrants. Is the coconut compressed. Now at this point we are going to add our toasted almonds. And basically you just want to press it down into the four parts that you're going to cut. So you can just guide it, and you're going to get 16 bars out of this. Ta-da! Just like that. So now we pretty well have our predetermined 16 little squares. So I'm going to put this in the fridge, and I'm going to let it cool for about an hour, and I'll be right back. So it's been about an hour, and I'm just about to take my coconut cream mixture out of the fridge, but before I do, I'm just going to prepare the chocolate. So what we want to do is just rough chop your chocolate. You won't have to do this if you buy chocolate chips, but you just want to break it down a little bit to help it along. And then I've got my 1 tablespoon of coconut oil and my 2.5 tablespoons of peanut butter. And I'm basically just going to melt this in the microwave. I'm going to start it off at 20 seconds, and then I'm going to stir it, and I'm going to heat it up 10-second increments. So it's been 20 seconds, and the peanut butter and the coconut oil have melted. And you just want to stir this because the heat of the other melted ingredients in here are going to help melt the chocolate. So give it a stir for 30 seconds. Then we're going to pop it back in the microwave for another 10 seconds and stir it. Wow, this is set really nicely. It's very firm and cool. Let's check on the chocolate. So it's been another 10 seconds. Just stir it for 30 seconds. And the chocolate melts as you stir it, so it's really important that you do give it a thorough stir in between. Another 10 seconds in the microwave. Now while that's in the microwave, we can just pop this right out, and it's super firm, and we're gonna need a good knife to be able to slice this. So let me grab that. So here's a nice sharp knife. And we're just going to half, then half it again, half it again, turn it and do the same. So it has been a total of 40 seconds, and now we're just going to stir this until it melts. If there's any little bits of hard chocolate, just pop it back in the microwave for another 10 seconds. So my chocolate is melted, and I've started dipping my squares, and I'm just using, actually 1 fork works well. to dip the squares. 2 forks work better. And then drizzle off, and I've got one of these drying racks or a cookie rack, and just put a piece of parchment paper below it, or wax paper, and they smell great. So looking forward to eating one of these, that's for sure. Okay. God darn it. Last one. And we can set it to the side. We're going to let it sit for a few minutes and just let the excess chocolate drizzle. To take these off the rack, and I'm going to put them on a plate and then pop them in the fridge to let the chocolate set. So an hour couldn't come soon enough, and we're ready to grab our almond bars out of the fridge. So here we are. I end up putting the, after dipping the bars, I end up putting them in this pan lined with some parchment to totally firm up. And they are nice and hard. I've got a fancy little dish that I can display all my Almond Joy bars, and we can grab one of these and let's give it the taste test. I love it. There's nothing more gratifying than tasting a dessert that is scrumptious but has no sugar in it. If you try this recipe and you love it, you have to share it. Enjoy! It's a real joy.